Welcome to the 59th Annual Georgia Author of the Year Awards. I'm Valerie Smith, poet and board member of Georgia Writers. We are thrilled to come together again to celebrate another fantastic year of writing from talented Georgia writers. Without further ado, let the announcement of the 2023 Georgia Author of the Year Awards commence. First, a few announcements. We are proud to announce we will soon be accepting submissions for the 2023 John Lewis Writing Grants. These grants are inspired by the late civil rights icon and his more than 3 decades of service as Georgia's 5th District Representative. We will award 3 grants, one in each categories of fiction, nonfiction, and poetry. The purpose of the John Lewis Writing Grant is to elevate, encourage, and inspire the voices of Black writers in Georgia. Applicants must be emerging writers who are Black or African American residents of Georgia for at least 1 year, or full-time students at a Georgia college or university at the time of application and on the date of the award. Last year's winners presented their work at an annual Red Clay Writers Conference. The talented winners from last year include Michael Julius Y. Idani, Josina Guess, and Samantha Williams. We will be posting more details about the grants later this month on our website and socials, and will begin accepting submissions on August 1st. Georgia Writers is partnering once again with the Fine Arts Works Center in Provincetown, Massachusetts, to award a scholarship to a Georgia Writers member to participate in a week-long summer workshop at the Fine Arts Works Center. The scholarship winner will pay no tuition and be provided housing and a travel stipend to participate in a week-long workshop in creative writing. Last year's winner was Jessica Bouvier, who is likely enjoying Provincetown right this moment. Please stay tuned on our socials and website for more information as it becomes available. If you'd like to become eligible for this grant, along with many other writing opportunities, become a Georgia Writers member today. Georgia Writers members also receive free access to our second Saturday workshops, discount for our Red Clay Writers Conference, writing software, access to our Substack, and more. For our award artist, this year's awards have been designed by Alicia Du Chateau, a local artist whose works exemplify the quality and care that each of our awardees have demonstrated in their work. A little about Alicia. Alicia is a talented ceramic artist based in Atlanta, Georgia, who's been creating ceramic housewares under the brand name Utility Objects since 2018. Her distinctive style combines organic textures and glazes with her contemporary handmade aesthetic. Each piece she creates is rooted in showcasing the true essence of the raw clay she works with, often characterized by its speckled appearance. Alicia draws inspiration from a variety of sources, including Japanese wabi-sabi, Scandinavian pottery, and even speckled bird eggs. Utility Objects gained significant recognition in 2019 during a pottery fundraiser for Color of Change, an organization dedicated to combating racial injustice in America during the Black Lives Matter movement. Since then, Utility Objects has successfully sold its work to high-end boutiques, galleries, design firms, and large brands like West Elm and Food 52. The brand has also received notable press coverage, which features in publications such as Dwell Magazine, The New Yorker, Architectural Digest, Ceramic Review Magazine, and Southern Living. This year's judges. Our judges for the 2023 Georgia Author of the Year Awards are Paige Bowers, Reem Faruqi, Cheryl Day, Regina Bradley, Carol Townsend, Andrew Manis, Dante Stewart, Ash Previtt, Roshani Chakshi, and Anjali Enjeti. We want to thank each of these judges for the time and consideration they spent on this year's awards. Our first award is the Posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award. This year, we have the privilege of honoring Valerie Boyd. Valerie Boyd's tribute will be presented by John Lewis Grant winner Josina Guest.
Valerie Boyd was a writer, an editor, a professor, a mentor, a teacher, and a guide to many, many people. More people than I even know or could name in this 5 minutes. But I hope that whether you knew her or didn't know her, you can learn a little bit about what a gift she is and what a gift you are as a Georgia writer. She was born in Atlanta on December 11th, 1963, and she died in Atlanta on February 12th, 2022. Valerie Boyd worked for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, where she served as arts editor, and she left the AJC to write Wrapped in Rainbows, which is the definitive biography of Zora Neale Hurston. Boyd was then entrusted by Alice Walker to edit her journals, and those journals were published in 2022, Gathering Blossoms Under Fire, the journals of Alice Walker, 1965 to 2000. One of her final projects was the writing of Bigger Than Bravery, an anthology called Black Resilience and Reclamation in a Time of Pandemic. She wrote the foreword to this anthology in December of 2021, just a few months before her passing. She was writing about the death of her own father, Roger Boyd, and this is what she wrote. And then there's the dying part, the biggest myth of all. Death, my dad has taught me, is a ruse. A life well lived is its own reward. And once the transcending spirit lays the worn and weary body down, there is rest and restoration. My father is now an influential ancestor, I believe, having achieved a kind of omniscience that empowers him to work subtly on my behalf in the spirit world and on this mortal plane. Valerie, of course, has joined that ancestral plane. And when she introduced readers to this book, she asked them to join the ancestors and to join her father. And now we can join Valerie and join hands with other writers and the writers that we know and don't know, and glimpse our own bravery, our own greatness, our own transcendent freedom. Valerie believed in people's work, and she encouraged more writers and more people than can probably be counted. I wrote an essay about Valerie for The Bitter Southerner. She served as senior consulting editor while I was working as managing editor there at the time. And in that essay, I quoted her friend, John T. Edge, who told her New York Times obituary writer that Valerie spun this kind of web, and a whole bunch of us got pleasantly stuck in it. And of course, when I think about a web, I think about Charlotte's Web. And that children's book helped me through my grief of losing Valerie, and also gratitude that she came into my corner and got to know me. And I know I'm not the only one. And many of us, like a pig in a sty, get stuck in our own muddy and dark corners. We wonder, can I make it as a writer? Do my words matter? Can I avoid being eaten up by my own anxiety? Can I thrive in academia or publishing or both and keep my soul intact? Can I avoid being consumed by jealousy and ambition? Can I find community through the isolated work of writing? Quietly, gently, firmly, and adeptly, Valerie Boyd heard us and saw us and told us in various ways, I like you. You got this. Yes, you can do it. We need you and the stories only you can tell. I'm thankful that the Georgia Writers Association is celebrating the work of Valerie Boyd, and I can see no better way to honor her life and her work than for each of us to go forth and be the writers that only we can be.
Thank you so much, Josina Guess. Now on to our 2023 Georgia Author of the Year Awards. Our first category is Biography Memoir. The nominees for Biography Memoir are Seeing Eye Girl, a memoir of madness, resilience, and hope by Beverly J. Armento. Odyssey, Young Charles Darwin, The Beagle and the Voyage That Changed the World by Tom Chafin. Bodies Out of Place, Theorizing Anti-Blackness in U.S. Society by Barbara Harris Combs. Making It Home, I Set Out to See the World and Made It All the Way to Cleveland by R. Mark Giuliano. Justice in the Age of Judgment, From Amanda Knox to Kyle Rittenhouse and the Battle for Due Process in the Digital Age by Ann Bremner, J.D. and Doug Bremner, M.D. Ocean of Stars and Dreams by Mayday Martinez de Asaba. Samuel Elbert and the Age of Revolution in Georgia, 1740 to 1788 by Clay Outs. Feathers at My Feet by Barbara Pearson. Operation Tailwind, Memoirs of a Secret Battle in a Secret War by Barry Pensick. Be Home by Dark, How I Earned My Dime Store MBA by Dale K. Finishi. The Flight by Cammie Wolf Rice. The Biography Memoir finalist is Bodies Out of Place, Theorizing Anti-Blackness in U.S. Society by Barbara Harris Combs. Judges say of Bodies Out of Place, Theorizing Anti-Blackness in U.S. Society. Timely and thought-provoking, Bodies Out of Place illustrates that despite professions to colorblindness, fixed attitudes about where Black bodies belong still predominate. This beautifully written book developed out of Harris Combs' two social identities, a sociologist who wants to understand the world, and a Black woman married to a Black man and the mother of two Black children who wants to protect them from it. Mining current events such as the Ahmaud Arbery murder and her own family history, Harris Combs shows how despite Black gains, the new social structure looks and operates a lot like it did in the Jim Crow era, only in a nuanced, complex, and multi-layered way that makes it difficult to see. It's a necessary read, especially for non-Black Americans, and it calls on white people to acknowledge the racism they created so the nation can work together on positive social changes. The biography winner is Odyssey, Young Charles Darwin, The Beagle and the Voyage That Changed the World by Tom Chafin. Judges say of Odyssey, Young Charles Darwin, The Beagle and the Voyage That Changed the World. Odyssey is the cinematic account of the historic voyage that gave a young Charles Darwin direction in life and served as the foundation for scientific ideas that still roil and illuminate our world. Using a rich array of sources, including Darwin's letters and diaries, Chafin shows readers a new side of the bearded old sage they know from school textbooks. We meet an aimless Darwin who was neither the first or the second choice to serve as naturalist on the HMS Beagle, but who came of age during the 5 years he served in that role. It's an epic and often amusing story about a young man who frustrated his father to no end, but evolved into an adventurer, intellectual, and writer who surely made him proud. Congratulations, Tom Chafin. Now for our children's book category. The nominees for children's book are Abby the Krabby Tabby Discovers Gratitude by Andrea Lane, illustrated by Heather Busquet. Drive-Through Miracle by Dana Edwards. Impossible Moon by Brianna J. McDaniel, illustrated by Tanya Engel. Gentle with Gertie by Will Pollock, illustrated by Aljan Inertia and Nora Inertia. The Big Yawn by Robert Kinnemer, illustrated by Stacy Jordan. Maisie's Full Heart, an adoption story by Kate Sang, illustrated by Kat Conley. Wombat Said Come In by Carmen Agradidi, illustrated by Brian Lees. Penny, the Engineering Tale of the Fourth Little Pig by Kimberly Durting and Shelley R. Johannes, illustrated by Hannah Marks. Faith's Freckles, a book to build self-esteem by Bailey Hines Perry and Charmaine Perry Knights. The Fairy Glen Adventure by Carol Bland Dawson, illustrated by Elaine Hearn Rabin. Milton's Ears by Eric Worster, illustrated by Christine Ramsey. Nigel and the Moon by Antoine Eady, illustrated by Gracie Zhang. Thunder the Wonder Donkey by Beverly Broomer, illustrated by Stacy Jordan. The children's book finalist is Nigel and the Moon by Antoine Eady, illustrated by Gracie Zhang. Judges say of Nigel and the Moon, from the opening lines of Nigel and the Moon, Antoine Eady's words of Gracie Zhang's illustrations shine with lyricism and love. Witnessing Nigel's growth from shy to bold will not only warm hearts, but encourage others to follow their dreams. Nigel's embarrassment over his parents' careers during Career Week are relatable and endear him to the reader. Eady's lyrical words, paired with Zhang's dreamy watercolor illustrations, will inspire readers to step into their own light and to become whoever they dream to be. The children's book winner is Penny, the Engineering Tale of the Fourth Little Pig by Kimberly Durting and Shelley R. Johannes. Judges say of Penny, the Engineering Tale of the Fourth Little Pig. Penny, the Engineering Tale of the Fourth Little Pig by Kimberly Durting and Shelley R. Johannes oozes with humor and joy. This fresh take on a classic fairy tale is not only hilarious, but also inspiring for budding engineers. Clever words paired with comical illustrations by Hannah Marks makes this story ideal for read aloud time. STEM educators will gravitate to the science, math, and engineering that is woven seamlessly into this funky tale. The fact that Penny is a female pig assisting her three older pig brothers is empowering for girls and will inspire readers of all ages to start sketching some blueprints. Congratulations, Kimberly Durden and Shelley R. Johannes. Our cookbook category. The nominees for cookbook are Cook and Celebrate, a collection of Southern holiday and party culinary traditions by Jonathan Scarp Barrett. Eat Plants Bitch, 91 Vegan Recipes That Will Blow Your Meat-Loving Mind by Pinky Cole. Our Fermented Lives, a history of how fermented foods have shaped cultures and communities, by Julia Skinner. Fabulous Modern Cookies, Lessons in Better Baking for Next Generation Treats by Paul Arguin and Chris Taylor. The cookbook finalist is Our Fermented Lives, a history of how fermented foods have shaped cultures and communities by Julia Skinner. Judges say of Our Fermented Lives is a meticulously researched and comprehensive look at fermentation, covering a wide range of fermented foods and drinks, from craft beers and sourdough bread to kimchi. This book provides a wealth of information on the health benefits and methods of this ancient practice. The recipes come with clear instructions and helpful tips for successful fermentation. With Julia Skinner's passion and expertise shining through on every page, this book is a valuable resource for anyone interested in exploring the art and science of fermentation. Now you can begin your own fermentation journey at home with this exceptional guide. The cookbook winner is Eat Plants, Bitch by Pinky Cole. Judges say of Eat Plants, Bitch, this, despite not identifying as vegan, I was pleasantly surprised by how captivated I was by Pinky Cole's personal story. Raised on Jamaican vegetarian cuisine and a love for plant-based cooking, she has innovatively adapted her childhood experiences into a repertoire of mouth-watering vegan recipes. These dishes are not only approachable and familiar favorites, but also bursting with bold and exciting new flavors. Her cookbook aims to educate readers about the benefits of this lifestyle, making it a must-read for the curious, health-conscious, and anyone seeking fresh and inventive ways to savor something new. With her wildly popular recipes now at our fingertips, we can easily recreate the same amazing flavors in the comfort of our home kitchen. Congratulations, Pinky Cole. In our Detective Mystery category, the nominees for Detective Mystery are Pay Dirt Road by Samantha Jane Allen, The House That Wasn't There by Andrew Forrest Baker, Such a Pretty Smile, a novel by Christy DeMeester, Manhattan Mayhem by A. Shane Etter, The Devil Himself, a novel by Peter Ferris, Hush, Delilah by Angie Gallion, Kill Shot, a Rachel West thriller by Lee Jimenez, A Face to Die For by Iris Johansson, A Brush with Murder, a watercolor mystery by Gail Langer-Karwoski, Anywhere You Run, a novel by Wanda M. Morris, The Unreliables, When the Only One You Trust Doesn't Exist by Catherine Nichols, Pets, Pens, and Murder, a cozy English animal mystery by Kathy Manos Penn, In Danger of Judgment, a thriller by David Rabin, Kofor Woods by Frank Reddy, The Corporate Lies by Donald Reichert, Blackmail and White Lightning by Paul Senior, Never Go Home, a novel by Christopher Swan, Sanctuary, a Thornton mystery by C.L. Tolbert. The Detective Mystery finalist is Such a Pretty Smile, a novel by Christy DeMeester. Judges say of Such a Pretty Smile, DeMeester's compelling narrative explores the ways in which women must fight against the forces that try to silence them. This book is a rallying cry, but is also a brilliant exploration of two characters whose lives intertwine in profound ways. DeMeester's narrative is excellently plotted, with an important story to tell. The Detective Mystery winner is Anywhere You Run, a novel by Wanda M. Morris. Judges say of Anywhere You Run, a tender and ferocious novel, Anywhere You Run has an incredibly timely story to tell, and Wanda M. Morris tells it superbly. Well-researched, is excellently placed, with carefully drawn characters, the novel shows us the true power of narrative storytelling. Congratulations, Wanda M. Morris. Our essay category. The nominees for essay are Sifting Artifacts, essays by Kathy A. Bradley. Better to See You With, perspectives on Flannery O'Connor, selected and new by Marshall Bruce Gentry. A Month of Sundays, the New Mexico columns by Harry Musselwhite. Everyday Leadership by Brian Unnell. The essay finalist is A Month of Sundays, the New Mexico columns by Harry Musselwhite. Judges say of A Month of Sundays, this short but delightful book from Harry Musselwhite features a series of columns written for the Rome News Tribune, a newspaper in Rome, Georgia. I immediately smiled at the title of the book and thought about the Southern euphemism, ain't seen you in a month of Sundays. This euphemism, I believe, is the key to understanding Musselwhite's musings about new experiences in Albuquerque, New Mexico, while referring to signature places, people, and events in his beloved hometown for context. He writes, New Mexico is called the land of enchantment. Others jokingly call this area the land of entrapment. I think there may be a bit of truth in both. Gentle, witty, and engrossing, A Month of Sundays reads like Musselwhite is a long-distance friend keeping you up to date with his new life in New Mexico while reminding you he is still very much rooted in Georgia soil. The essay winner is Sifting Artifacts, Essays by Kathy A. Bradley. Judges say of Sifting Artifacts. Kathy Bradley's book, Sifting Artifacts, writes about her past and present on the Georgia coast with intimacy and soft hands. Bradley's storytelling is quiet and beautiful, centering Southeast Georgia's natural landscape and her place in it, a welcome change from the hustle and busyness of the social media dominant world we live in. A particular line that stands out for me is from the February 22nd, 2015 essay, Repetition creates ritual, and ritual is really nothing more than remembering. Bradley encourages the reader to think about the connections between community, memory, and nature. Sifting Artifacts amplifies the beauty in the quotidian, the mundane, and the life lessons we pick up if we just take some time to pay attention to and appreciate the natural world around us. Congratulations, Kathy A. Bradley. Our history category. The nominees for history are Ghosts of Athens and Beyond, History and Haunting of North Georgia by Tracy L. Adkins. Shakespeare's Sceptered Isle, Finding English National Identity in the Plays by Brian Carroll. A Road Running Southward, Following John Moore's Journey Through an Endangered Land by Dan Chapman. 22 Cents an Hour, Disability Rights in the Fight to End Subminimum Wages by Doug Crandall. The Pursuit of the Atlanta Child Killer, Facts, Fibers, and Forensics by Joseph Drolet. Legacy of Honor, The Patriarch by Larry Freeland. The 3 Death Sentences of Clarence Henderson, A Battle for Racial Justice at the Dawn of the Civil Rights Era by Chris Joyner. Against All Odds, The True Story of Ultimate Courage and Survival in World War II by Alex Kershaw. The North of the South, The Natural World and the National Imaginary in the Literature of the Upper South by Barbara Ladd. Oceans of Grain, How American Wheat Remade the World by Scott Reynolds Nelson. The Long Haul, Solving the Puzzle of the Pandemic's Long Haulers and How They Are Changing Healthcare Forever by Ryan Pryor. The Columbus Stocking Strangler by William Rawlings. Proving Pregnancy, Gender, Law, and Medical Knowledge in 19th Century America by Felicity M. Turner. The history finalist is A Road Running Southward, Following John Moore's Journey Through an Endangered Land by Dan Chapman. Judges say of A Road Running Southward. Chapman's retracing of John Moore's journey is engaging and rather unique. Muir's undertaking deserves to be respected and remembered, and Chapman found a way to do both. A Road Running Southward takes an honest, unfiltered look at the South's breathtaking natural beauty. The author also laments, again with honesty, the unbridled pilfering of her natural resources and splendor. Chapman manages to pay homage to a splendidly biodiverse region, using vividly painted prose and even humor in some places to call attention to what's happening to the South, a steady, relentless decimation of one of the most beautiful places on earth. This book is both a celebration and a wake-up call. The history winner is Against All Odds, A True Story of Ultimate Courage and Survival in World War II by Alex Kershaw. Judges say of Against All Odds, Kershaw's book is a wonderful example of the way thorough research upholds fabulous storytelling. The 4 men featured in Against All Odds are truly inspirations, and reading about their stunning feats of courage and selflessness kindles both pride and awe. The narrative is compelling and often gut-wrenching, With every word, Kershaw pulls us into the most perilous battles of World War II, and he reminds us why these heroes and so many more are still known as the United States' greatest generation. In a world in which patriotism and love of country today are often ridiculed, this book reminds us of the almost supernatural bravery and remarkable character that infused those who fought in this horrible, costly war. Kershaw reminds us that while the war is hell, the very fires of hell can forge strength and valor in men and women who might never have known just how extraordinary they are. Congratulations, Alex Kershaw. Our inspirational category. The nominees for inspirational are Be Unexpected, Resetting Routines to Revolutionize the Future of Work by Marva Baylor. The Self-Delusion, The New Neuroscience of How We Invent and Reinvent Our Identities by Gregory Burns. Thank You Body, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in Spaces Beyond Workplaces by Tracy Fisher. You're Only Human, How Your Limits Reflect God's Design and Why That's Good News by Kelly M. Capich. The Simple Guide to a Successful You, Navigating Your Career After Life Gets Messy by Sarah Lebel. Bloom Where You Are by Deborah Malone. Develop Skills to Effectively Manage Money, A Practical Guide to Financial Self-Development by Mike Marshall. Daily Inspirations from the Unflappable Substitute by Susan May. Hometown Victory, A Coach's Story of Football, Fate, and Coming Home by Keenan Lowe with Justin Speisman. Do the Best You Can't by Bud Stumbaugh. Awakening Dignity, A Guide to Living a Life of Deep Fulfillment by Pechok Rinpoche and Sophie Wu. The inspirational finalist is You're Only Human, How Your Limits Reflect God's Design and Why That's Good News by Kelly M. Capich. Judges say of You're Only Human, we find a healthy corrective in Kelly Capich's view of the limited, creaturely nature of the human person. His book is a reminder that You're Only Human is both true and good news that America can use. Capich shows us that all the Christian life is not to become superhuman, it is to become truly human. The inspirational winner is The Self-Delusion, The New Neuroscience of How We Invent and Reinvent Our Identities by Gregory Burns. Judges say of The Self-Delusion, having told Americans what it's like to be a dog and how dogs love us, neuroscientist Gregory Burns now coaches us in both understanding and loving ourselves. And paradoxically, he does it by clearing away the self-delusion. A learned and wonderful book. Congratulations, Gregory Burns. In our literary fiction category, the nominees for literary fiction are The Gospel of Rot by Gregory Ariel, The Lost Book of Eleanor Dare by Kimberly Brock, Obsidian Mirth by Tom Brucey, The Hollow Kind, a novel by Andy Davidson, The Best Version of Alice by Merrill J. Davies, The Lottery Winner's Greatest Role, a millionaire, a young reporter, and a journey to find what matters most by Skip Johnson, Wildwood Flower, a novel by Anne Lovett, The Truth Keepers, a novel by June Hall McCash, Songs by Honeybird by Peter McDade, By Way of Moonlight by Elizabeth Musser, The Editor, How the Brewster Gazette Became the World's First Metaphysical Newspaper by Thomas A. Williams, Ph.D., Sister, Mother, Warrior, a novel by Vanessa Riley, Return to Hardscrabble Road by George Weinstein. The literary fiction finalist is The Hollow Kind by Andy Davidson. Judges say of The Hollow Kind, for a man who finds himself fascinated with the blending of humans, horror, and hope, I found Andy Davidson's world unforgettable. The Hollow Kind finds a way to reckon with words like family, history, terror, triumph, denial, nostalgia, mystery, life, death, grit, and most of all, courage. Like the best writing, that which begins in desperation and ends in empathy, the hollow kind is a sort of filling that I think most Americans need. The literary fiction winner is Sister, Mother, Warrior by Vanessa Riley. Judges say of Sister, Mother, Warrior, when I think of literature that bends time, softens the heart, and challenges the imagination, it would be hard to go far without reaching for Sister, Mother, Warrior by Vanessa Riley. By entering the reading in the quite literal belly of the beast, Riley does as Toni Morrison has done, taken me on a sweeping saga, which has the stuff of horror and liberation, and walking me through the ever-present life and dignity contained in Black life. It is much more than a tale of two people finding themselves. It is a story which contains the seeds that can make this world right again. I wasn't just captivated by the meticulous research. It was the heart and unfolding of history bound to intimate stories that kept me going. This was an absolute feat. Congratulations, Vanessa Riley. In our Poetry Chapbook category, the nominees for Poetry Chapbook are Poem at the Edge of the World by Julia Caroline Knowlton, Some Kind of Black by Amber Moss, Amo y Canto by J.C. Riley, It Felt Like Mississippi, Poems by Monica Lee Weatherly. The Poetry Chapbook finalist is Poem at the Edge of the World by Julia Caroline Knowlton. Judges say of Poem at the Edge of the World, Knowlton's collection is a restrained yet indulgent gathering of poems packed full of details that make one wish they could touch each page to feel the variation in warmth and texture. Of particular note are the wealth of self-portrait poems, such as Self-Portrait with Loss of Appetite, where Knowlton writes, the crux of it is, who does not want to glide through space, light, to enter like a dancer, exit like a gold autumn leaf, float away. And the brief and more directly titled Self-Portrait, where the first stanza offers this delectable line, one red flower on a cactus, more silence between us. Such poems present themselves as different viewpoints on the same subject, illuminating the value of perspective. The same red book, when viewed from behind, becomes suddenly blue. To read Poem at the Edge of the World is to be given the privilege of many perspectives at once, each one as equally vivid as it is strange. The Poetry Chapbook winner is It Felt Like Mississippi by Monica Lee Weatherly. Judges say of It Felt Like Mississippi, It Felt Like Mississippi is a sorrowful yet triumphant exploration of the dynamic of being a child versus being an adult. The transition from one to another and the simultaneous complexity, difficulty, and joy of being Black and in the South while doing so. Generational and personal trauma influenced the collection significantly, with candid poems that ask such difficult questions as, how can motherhood save my life and make me want to end it at the same time? From Suicide by Motherhood. Or, when I gaze at my hands to see my umber skin, can I ever truly be free? From Free. And while the collection dedicates great care to recognizing and naming pain, it makes sure to dedicate equal space to recognizing the joy and importance of community, most evidently with the collection's final piece, Front Porch, a sprawling poem that catalogs the myriad lessons that the speaker received from observing conversations between her elders on the front porch of their home. In these ways, Weatherly's chapbook feels like a love letter to her upbringing and to her ancestors, putting both her joy and her strife in conversation with those who came before her and those who will follow, likening itself to one giant front porch, a space for growth, tears, sorrow, and love. Congratulations, Monica Lee Weatherly. For our Poetry Full-Length Collection category, the nominees for Poetry Full-Length Collection are Unbridled by Shay Alexie, The Woman Who Lives Without Money by Rebecca Baggett, Faces Cut Out for Locket by Jen Blair, Straw Hat Stanzas by Mark Bromberg, Mother Medusa by Lucas Carpenter, Thrash by Michael Diebert, Black Swim by Nicholas Goodley, The Lost Thing, Poems by Sarah Gordon, The Color of Truth by Laura Anella Johnson, A Girl, Woman, Teacher, Poet by Candace Kelsey, Palabras que Respiran, Words That Breathe by Cecilia Lee, Magic Cicada and Other Marvels by Kathleen Bruin Lewis, A Woman Somehow Dead by Emily Laughlin, All the Blood Involved in Love by Maya Marshall, Call It in the Air by Ed Pavlich, Climbing an Unnamed Mountain by Michael Walls, Eden's Last Horizon, Poems for the Earth by Philip Lee Williams. The Poetry Full-Length Collection finalist is Palabras que Respiran, Words That Breathe by Cecilia Lee. Judges say of Palabras que Respiran, Words That Breathe, Lee's important work of translation relies on deceptively simple poetic insights layered across two languages. This book is a thrill to read, as meaning dances from one tongue to another. Lee deserves a wide audience. The Poetry Full-Length Collection winner is Call It in the Air by Ed Pavlich. Judges say of Call It in the Air, Pavlich's genre-bending book never loses its sharp ear for language. The judges were impressed by the truly heartfelt emotion in this book, the grief of losing a loved one, the generosity sparkling within Pavlich's prose. For fans of narrative poetry, Call It in the Air is a must-read. Congratulations, Ed Pavlich. For the romance category, the nominees for romance are The Case of the Missing Botticelli by Marilyn Barron, Fire, Magic, and Ice Cream by Lauren Connolly, Stealing Aries by Kim Conray, Eloping with the Laird by Janine Englert, Hide and Zeke, Cutie and the Beast by Josh Langston, Racing to You by Susan May Carlisle. The romance finalist is Racing to You by Susan May Carlisle. Judges say of Racing to You, this book is a beautifully written and heartwarming story about two young people who find love in the most unexpected of places. The characters are well developed and relatable, and the plot is full of twists and turns that will keep you guessing until the very end. The romance winner is Stealing Aries by Kim Conray. Judges say of Stealing Aries, this slow build of a romance, filled with distinct and entertaining characters, starts out as a treasure hunt and becomes much more. With characters that you fall in love with over and over, and remarkable world building, Conray's clever story has you wishing for more. Congratulations, Kim Conray. For our young adult category, the nominees for young adult are The Summer We Forgot by Caroline George, Does My Body Offend You by Myra Cuevas and Marie Marquardt, Omar Rising by Aisha Saeed, A Tale Twice Told by Mark Warren, Black Dove by Crystal Wilkins. The young adult finalist is Omar Rising by Aisha Saeed. Omar Rising by Aisha Saeed is an inspiring story of changing a rotten system from the inside out. Omar is thrilled to be accepted to the prestigious Ghalib Academy boarding school, but he soon discovers that as a scholarship student, he is restricted from communal activities and forced to perform menial tasks. Once Omar realizes that the school system is designed to oust out students like himself, he and his charming network of friends courageously work to change the institutional powers in place. Saeed paints a tender and moving portrait of Omar and his stubborn optimism, with the immortal reminder that all things can change and hope is never wasted. The young adult winner is Does My Body Offend You by Myra Cuevas and Marie Marquardt. Judges say of Does My Body Offend You? Does My Body Offend You by Myra Cuevas and Marie Marquardt explores the lives of two very different teenage girls and their discovery of power, privilege, bias, and friendship. When a humiliating incident at school forces Melina Rosario to cover up her body, Melina finds herself grappling not only with the struggle of being a new student haunted with homesickness, but also her own autonomy and body as a young woman of color. Her new friend, Ruby McAllister, is quick to help Melina, but Ruby has her own path of self-discovery, one that gently engages with the privilege of race and bias while still celebrating what it means to forge your own path. Told in a raw and scintillating voice, this story beautifully captures the complex conversation of feminism, body power, privilege, and navigating the turbulence of friendships. Congratulations, Myra Cuevas and Marie Marquardt. In our short story collection category, the nominees for short story collection are Haints on Black Mountain, a haunted short story collection by Anne Height. We'll Talk Some More, a collection of Southern short stories by Ed Nichols. Tower, stories by Andy Plattner. Shadows in the South by Caroline Smith. The Western Trail Travesties, 5 little-known tales of the Old West that probably ought to have stayed that way by Mark Warren. The short story finalist is Haints on Black Mountain, a haunted short story collection by Anne Height. Judges say of Haints on Black Mountain, Height's collection of spirits is a truly ambitious project, one that moves between time and theme with ease. Reading Height's prose is a pleasure, with recurring characters deepening the texture of the narrative throughout. The short story winner is Tower, stories by Andy Plattner. Judges say of Tower, Tower has an ear for particularity, an old school realism that seems to have emerged right out of the mid-20th century. Plattner plays the greatest hits with ease, and he brings his own idiosyncratic humor and flair to every story in this collection. Congratulations, Andy Plattner. In our specialty book category, the nominees for specialty book are Ghostland America, Stories and Photographs by James Calamine. Frankie Welch's Americana, Fashion, Scarves, and Politics by Ashley Callahan. Following the Tabby Trail, where coastal history is captured in unique oyster shell structures by Jingle Davis, photographer Benjamin Galland. Bigger Than Bravery, Black Resilience and Reclamation in a Time of Pandemic, edited by Valerie Boyd, contributors Alice Walker, Kais Lehman, Deisha Philyaw, Jason Reynolds, Imani Perry, Emily Bernard, Destiny O. Birdsong, Anjanou Ellis Taylor, Alexis Pauling Gums, Karen Good Marable, Honoree Fannin Jeffers, and Khadijah Queen. Coach, The Greatest Teachers in Sports and Their Lessons for Us All by Justin Speisman. Perfume, Object Lessons by Megan Volpert. The Conversation Turns to Wide Mouth Jars by Beth Gillis, Kathy Carlisi, and Jennifer Wheelock. The Encyclopedia of Self-Publishing by Thomas Williams. The specialty book finalist is Frankie Welch's Americana, Fashion, Scarves, and Politics by Ashley Callahan. Judges say of Frankie Welch's Americana, first off, this book is absolutely gorgeous. The amount of work that went into producing such a thoughtful arrangement of text and image is astounding. Callahan has woven Welch's life into the literal fabric of American history. Fans of general history and cultural studies alike will find plenty to love in this book. The specialty book winner is Bigger Than Bravery, Black Resilience and Reclamation in a Time of Pandemic, edited by Valerie Boyd. Judges say of Bigger Than Bravery, the names alone in this anthology make it a must-read. Tayari Jones, Kais Lehman, Imani Perry, Alice Walker, and many others. Boyd, who was the recipient of Georgia Writers' posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award, has gathered a truly remarkable collection of voices whose cumulative impact will be felt many years from now. This is a collection that deserves to be studied in classrooms across the country. Congratulations to Valerie Boyd and the editors. For our first novel category, the nominees for first novel are Sudden Death, a novel by Carolyn Newton Curry. Wingwalkers, a novel by Taylor Brown. A Good Morning by Brian Delaney. The Maine Caper by John Frisbee. The Cicada Tree by Robert Gwaltney. Dynasties by Anju Gatani. A Lineage of Deception, a Southern novel by Marianne Hopper. Mama Tried by Kathy Desjardins. Salut by Morenike McFall. Rough Draft, an Alabaster Cash novel by Alex McRae. Tell It True, a novel by John Pruitt. Hands of Gold, One Man's Quest to find the silver lining in misfortune by Ronnie Robbins. Lakewood by William Walsh. Summer Solstice by Lynn Wethington. The Freedom Chronicles by John Yao. The first novel finalist is Mama Tried by Kathy Desjardins. Judges say of Mama Tried. In Mama Tried, Kathy Desjardins unspools the hilarious antics of the fearless and irreverent Quita Ray Perkins, who shows up unannounced to throw the life of her DJ daughter, Joy Faye Perkins, into a tailspin. But when Joy Faye starts regaling listeners with tales about her mother's wild life, her radio show soars in popularity and is soon broadcast across the state of Louisiana. With wit and humor, Desjardins paints an irresistible portrait of this dynamic duo and gets to the heart of this complicated mother-daughter relationship where both laughter and grief reside. The first novel winner is The Cicada Tree by Robert Gwaltney. Judges say of The Cicada Tree. In The Cicada Tree, Robert Gwaltney has crafted an irresistible, provocative, and magical tale set in the 1950s in Providence, Georgia, about a young piano prodigy whose mysterious gifts and powers go far beyond how her dexterous fingers move across the black and white keys. Gwaltney's prose is symphonic. His deeply drawn characters, which include 11-year-old Annalise Newell and Etta May, her equally gifted musical partner in crime, leap off the page. The Cicada Tree is a haunting, hypnotic masterpiece about the Deep South, the dark histories of intertwined family trees, and how secrets, once unearthed, can shatter a community. Congratulations, Robert Gwaltney. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations to all the winners and finalists and nominees of the 2023 Georgia Author of the Year Awards. Thank you to all of our incredibly generous judges. We look forward to next year's Georgia Author of the Year Awards. Nominations open up November 1st. For more information, please visit our website at georgiawriters.org or go directly to authoroftheyear.org. It has been my pleasure. My name is Valerie Smith. Thank you.